Hey, what's going on, you guys? I figured I'd turn on the camera, do a little bit of talking with you guys. In my last video, we got into the discussion of, being detained. So I figured I'd tell you a couple of the stories about, the times I was detained. Mindless, most of the time I've ever been detained, it's always been while I was at work. So what I do for work is I work for a fundraising company. I get to drive around all day and pick up donations. So on any given day, I could either be in Hartford, Waterbury, Danbury, I could be all over the state. So anyways, one of these stories is going to take place in East Windsor. I know I don't have the camera pointed at me, so well, with the one in East Windsor, I was working up in the area. I did my job, went up to the businesses I had to, collected the donations, and then what ended up happening is after I left one of them, the person decided to call the police just to verify it is a legit organization. So, with that being said, well, now, what ended up happening is she gave him my plate number, she gave him what my car looked like, the whole 9 yards. I mean, she even went down as to what I was wearing. Well, as I'm getting done with work, I hit my last stop. I figured since I was in the area, I'd stop into Riverview Gun Sales. So, I pull into the parking lot, and I get out of my car, I lock it up, all that other good stuff. I get about 10 feet from my car, and all of a sudden I start hearing tires coming up behind me, and they're not moving at like a slow rate, like 5-10 miles an hour. For those of you who've been to Riverview, you know you can pick up some speed in that parking lot if you really wanted to. Well, I turn behind, or I look behind me, all of a sudden I see an East Windsor cop. Well, the officer decided that he was going to pull up to my passenger side. He didn't even talk to me. All he did was point at me and give me the gesture to move to the vehicle. Okay. As I'm walking over, he's getting out of the car. He's got his hands on his handcuffs. So I try informing him that I am carrying a firearm, and all I get is shut up.
After 1/2 mile,
okay. To me, that's strike one. You want me to comply with your requests, but I am not allowed to talk to you. Okay. Well, as he puts me in handcuffs, all of a sudden, 4 more squad cars, 4 or 5, I can't remember how many. And he starts searching me, and of course every time I'm trying to talk, he's telling me to shut up, so I can't tell him I have a firearm. Well, he finds my firearm, he places it on the trunk of his vehicle and has me move over to another. Now, mindless, this incident took place in July of 2011. So, it was fairly warm out. Well, as I am getting a lecture about, next time an officer comes up to you, tell him you're carrying a firearm, all that other stuff. Well, if he actually let me talk, I would have told him. But they start questioning me as to what I'm doing up in the area. You know, they call my boss, they call the president of the organization. You know, they contact who they have to. So, but the amazing thing is the rights that were taken away that day. Now, when the officer was talking to me, you know, about 10 minutes prior to letting me go, he decides he's going to take my keys, unlock my vehicle, and proceed to search it. As he opens up my car door, I go to question him. You know, excuse me, officer. All I get is, you know, shut up. Are you talking to me? Well, I didn't want to open my mouth and say, you know, well, yes, I am talking to you because you're violating my Fourth Amendment right. Now, the whole time I can listen to the scanner and, you know, they didn't have a warrant to search my vehicle. You know, if they came up to me and asked me, hey, do you mind if I search your vehicle? I would have probably ended up saying, yeah. You know, I have nothing to hide. So, after he searches my vehicle, he opens my trunk, he places my weapon inside the trunk, places my magazines inside the trunk, and everything else. Whatever. Now, the whole time this incident is going on, it's roughly, I don't know, I'd say between 40 to 50 minutes. You know, I've got the guys from Riverview Gun Sales looking out the window. I have the customers outside talking about what's going on. Yeah, I'm being made the talk of the town for doing nothing wrong. Well, before he lets me go, he gives me that whole spiel, you know, make sure your weapon's always on safe, and, you know, don't keep one in the tube. I mean, really? There's no law that says I cannot have one in the chamber. No law. You know, if I'm going to carry a weapon, I'm going to make sure that that weapon is ready to go, where I don't have to rack it. And as for not carrying it on safe, you're right, I don't. The only weapon I will carry on safe is my 1911. And that's because that's the way that they were designed to be run. What the weapon I was carrying was my Smith & Wesson 4006. And for those of you who know the weapon, you know that you can drop the safety, load around it, and the hammer will fall, giving you a double action trigger on your first pull. Your second pull is going to be a single action. That's the way I like to carry that piece. Fine. Now, you know, after they're about ready to leave, they all get in their cars and everything else like that. I take my keys, I pop my trunk, I take the weapon out, I rack one in. I load the weapon and I put it back and I holster it. Then what I decide to do is I go in to Riverview. I'm going to do exactly what I set out to do. Well, when I was in there, you know, I know a couple of the guys, and, you know, they said that the way that they handled themselves, or the way that the police officers handled themselves, was completely wrong. You know, they should not have done what they did, but you know what? It happened. Now, it's bad when the employees are actually coming up and saying that. Well, that's the way East Windsor conducted themselves. Now, I didn't go into too many details about everything that happened. The next incident that happened. Now, mind us, this is the same year. I'm going to fast forward it to, say, November, December. I was working out in New Britain, doing the same thing. Well, I walked into a store. The woman says, well, you know, I gotta go in the back, I gotta get my checkbooks. She goes in the back. She calls the police behind my back. And, you know, then comes out of the back room with her Walther PPQ showing. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this cannot be good. But, you know, whatever. She proceeds to give me some BS story that she's got to wait for her kid to bring her check. Whatever. Well, about 10-15 minutes goes by. We were just randomly bullshitting. Well, anyways, we were just randomly BS, and I go up to her, I go, look, ma'am, you know, by all means, I don't mind waiting, but unfortunately, I have other stops that I have to go to. You know, what we'll do is we'll give you a call, reset it for another day. Well, I get in my car, I'm sitting down, I'm writing the information that was provided to me, and all of a sudden a New Britain officer pulls in and blocks my car. Gets out of his car and comes up to mine and asks me to step out. Now, nonetheless, I got the engine running. I go up to him, I'm like, do you mind if I shut off my car real quick? He goes, no, we'll take care of that. Okay, fine, whatever. I get out of my car, he automatically puts me in handcuffs. I try telling him I'm carrying a firearm. All I get is shut up. You know, why is it that these officers are all saying the same words? You know, I'm trying to inform them for their safety. Yeah. Well, he searches me halfway through the search. You know, more officers pull in. I think there was a total of 10 squad cars that pulled in. I mean, really, 10 cars for one person. Well, one of the officers goes into the store. They talk with the woman, what have you. They try saying, well, you know, I'm working for a fraudulent company, whole 9 yards. I know better. I've been working for this company for almost 7 years. Well, after they searched me, they put me in the back of a squad car, and, you know, for those of you who have never been in a squad car, at least in the back seat, it's uncomfortable as is. Especially when you're a little on the tall side. I stand over 6 foot tall. Those cars are not comfortable. Being in handcuffs, that makes it even worse. Well, you know, long story short, 45 minutes later, cop comes back out, comes up to me, questions me even more, gives me a nice little warning. Takes my car keys out of the ignition. Unless my engine's been running the entire time. And this whole incident lasted about an hour. Minimum. So, he takes my keys out of the ignition, searches my vehicle, pops my trunk, takes my weapon, and at the time I'm carrying a full-size 1911. Takes my weapon, puts it in the trunk, gives me a stern warning. You know, stay out of our town. I'm not allowed on that property. You know, I might want to look into getting a different job because the job I work for is a scam. Most of the companies, or most of the organizations that deal with my boss are all 501c3s, which is non-profit organizations. Yeah, I don't think that they're frauds, but that's a different story. Well, anyways, what this cop proceeds to do is he waits for me to get in my vehicle. I light up a cigarette. I'm stressed the hell out. I walk out, or I put my car in gear. I don't even put on my seatbelt. I'm that stressed. The cop proceeds to follow me out of town. After I get about 50 yards from the town, he turns around. Whatever. I've been pulled over in Meriden, and, you know, this cop was actually fairly cool. You know, I tell him I'm carrying a firearm, and he comes up, he says, well, where is it? You know, it's on my right hip. All right, do me a favor, just step out of the vehicle. He removes the weapon. Runs the numbers, runs my license, the whole 9 yards. Well, he has me roll down my passenger window after all is said and done. He places the weapons on my front seat and says, and I quote, holster them. No problem. Do you mind if I put a round in? By all means. To me, that's a good cop. I was pulled over on the Merritt Parkway by a state trooper. I tell him I'm carrying, you know, a whole 9 yards. Cop says, all right, no problem. Where is it? Right hip. Says, and I quote, just do me a favor, lift your shirt. Questions about the gun. He actually asked, well, is that a 40? Yes, sir, it is. It was a good choice. Doesn't even ask me to remove it. You know, another incident where I was I was about ready to get on 91 out in Windsor. Either Windsor or Bloomfield, somewhere right around there. Cop has me get out of the car, searches me, pulls the weapon out, then proceeds to search my vehicle while I'm still in it. Has me pop the trunk, places my weapon in there, a whole 9 yards. I mean, the way that the officers are conducting themselves now is really wrong. Like, first off, you're granted the First Amendment, which is your freedom of religion, freedom from want, freedom from fear, freedom of speech. That's your First Amendment right there. Your Second Amendment guarantees you the right to bear arms. As long as you do not have any felonies, you have never committed a crime, what have you. You've done everything right. By rights, you are allowed to carry. If you have a permit, but that's another story. Your Fourth Amendment guarantees you the right to privacy. So therefore, your house, your business, your car, your privacy. Now, out of the 2 times I was detained, all 4 of those rights were completely stripped. The cops decided to do whatever they chose. You know, if they came up to me and asked me, do you mind if we search your vehicle? I have nothing to hide. By all means. Come up, act like an officer, and I'll treat you like an officer. You know, I'll treat you like a normal person. But when you violate my rights, it really becomes disconcerting to me. So, anyways, those are just a couple of my horror stories. Yeah, I'm actually at work when I'm recording this, so. Well, anyways, you guys have yourself a nice day. I gotta get my butt to work. I will talk to you guys in a bit. Alright? You guys have yourself a wonderful day, wonderful evening, or whenever you're watching this. I gotta get my butt back to work. See you later.